Hey everybody, Z Garcia here. The Others is one of my favorite miniatures combat style game. It's an all versus one game in which all the players but one are going to be representing good guys, heroes, and the other player, the bad player, is going to be one of the 7 deadly sins, the incarnation representation of that. And they are going to be using a bunch of tools at their disposal to stop the good guys from accomplishing their goal and allowing the sin player to bring about apocalypse. One of the tools available to the players, to the sin player that is these Acolytes. And these are corrupted characters that the player has at their disposal just in combat on the board. But on top of that, once per round, they can bring one back into a fight and trigger a special power with it as well. So today what I'm going to do is I'm going to be ranking them from my least favorite to my favorite. And there are 3 that come in the base box here. And you can get the other ones in the expansion packs that have new teams. And the new teams you can find are Delta, Beta, and I think Gamma is the other one. Okay? So that's where you'll find all of these. Again, 3 are in the base game, and I'll tell you which 3 are in the base game. But that's basically it. I just wanted to take a look at them, rank them for you, give you an idea of what it is I like about this game, and which of the ones in there speak to me the most. If you want to see a review of the game itself and you're not familiar with it, well, we have one of those on our channel. Go check that out. Just know that I really, really enjoy the game. Like I said, it is one of my favorites. So, without any further ado, let's take a look at these corrupted individuals. My number 9 goes to the corrupted doctors here that force the players that they contend with when you bring it back to not be able to heal for the remainder of that round. It's my least favorite because it's very situational. Usually, I don't see the hero players healing a whole lot anyway. Usually, they try to do the most they can, and yes, sometimes there'll be some healing, and sometimes this can come into effect, but usually it's not that big of a problem. And so I find this one to not be as powerful as some of the other corrupted characters in the game. So this is one of the included ones in the base game. It's fine. It's sort of low impact in many ways, but it is just not one of my favorites. So that is my number 9. Number 8 goes to corrupted chefs right here. And their deal is that when you bring them to join a non-ranged fight, the current hero's skill number becomes 0, and that cannot be modified. Now, the skill number is the number that they would use to deal with eliminating corruption from the city. So this is cool, but the problem is usually if the heroes know, and they will know, that this is my corrupted figure for the game, they'll avoid jumping into a fight if they can help it with a character that has a high skill value anyway, and try to have those characters not be corrupted by my chefs. So again, it could be useful. Certainly making the skill number drop all the way down to 0 is very satisfactory, but it is tricky to pull off well and really hinder the big hitters in the skill value with the corrupted chefs there. So that's why this one is my number 8. My number 7 goes to the corrupted nuns. What they do is they will allow me to replace a token on a district with one of my corruption tokens. So one of the symbols in the district is blocked, and it becomes a corruption token. I like it because it's a twofold hit. Not only am I denying them one of the symbols if they trigger that district, but they have to contend with an extra corruption as well. It's very thematic, and I think it's really neat that they now have to clear that corruption, not just because they're going to get hit when they enter and they leave that space, but also because I am making that district worse for their use. So I like this one very much. Very cool, very thematic. This is one of the ones that's also included in the base game, and it's one I like very much, though it's not my favorite. You'll see my favorite in just a little bit. Next up, we have Corrupted Fireman. We have them right there, and their deal is very straightforward. When I bring one in to a fight, they are going to place a fire token in the spot. Very clean. Again, really simple concept, and I do enjoy it. You're probably going to be deploying some of those tokens anyway at the beginning of a round, But then now you're going to be able to spread a little more fire around the city, hopefully deal a few more wounds from that. This one is one of my favorites if you're going for simplicity. I think it's a very straightforward and simple one, and it allows the Sin player, if you have a Sin player that feels like they're not doing enough in the game, then this is a good one because they're going to most likely start making more checks for fire because of the corrupted Fireman. So definitely one I would recommend if you are looking to get your Sin player a little more involved, and you still want it to be a Sin player that is fairly new to the game, so they don't want to have to deal with complicated effects or keeping track of long range, whole round effects, things like that. Next up, we have the Corrupted Diplomats. Corrupted Diplomats right there. Their deal being, of course, that they are going to mark a hero for the whole round, and that hero is going to lose their natural ability. Very cool. It's certainly one of my favorites. I love, blanking out a hero except for their stats. Their natural ability is gone for that whole round. I love it. This is fantastic. It's really enjoyable to put the heroes in that situation, and they just have to ignore whatever they were sort of good at. Whatever they were identifying with, they now have to ignore. This ties into some of the denial sins really well as well. So I like the Corrupted Diplomat there. That is my number 5. My number 4 is the Musicians. And the Musicians here are going to force the hero that they're tackling to not take voluntary corruption unless they also take 2 wounds. Now, this is a good one for advanced players, I think, because oftentimes knowing how much corruption, voluntary corruption, to take, I think is one of the big learning curves in playing the others. Most new players are too scared of it, for the most part, of taking voluntary corruption, whereas players that, are familiar with the game know when to do it, how much to do it, are not scared of taking that corruption because they know it leads to probably a beneficial outcome at the end of that fight anyway. With this, though, I'm throwing a monkey wrench into those plans. So again, I think this is a good one for advanced players to play with. It's going to force the heroes to make an extra sort of decision step. Is winning this fight, hopefully, worth 2 extra wounds as well? That's a little bit tricky to decide. So very powerful, the Corrupted Musicians. The Corrupted Hobos here are the last one that comes in the base set. This is my favorite of the ones that come in the base set. And the Hobos are going to very simply take one of the upgrade cards of the character I'm fighting and flip it face down for the rest of the round. Again, nice denial there. I like that it's a little more situational than the one that cancels their natural ability, but it also can be very punishing, especially when you pick a player that has something that's been a thorn in your side the whole time, an upgrade, you get to turn it off for a while. Very cool. Again, my favorite one of the ones that come in the base set. That's my number 3. And then breaking into the top 2, we've got number 2 here is the Corrupted Gangster. Certainly the simplest one of them all because they have no power really. The idea is quite simply when you bring them into a fight, a dead one into a fight, you bring 2 into a fight. Great for new players, powerful, just straightforward. They show up en masse, and you are going to have to deal with 2 of the corrupted characters on top of whatever else was in that fight anyway. Love it. This could have easily been my number 1, but it has no power. It's really just the idea of dealing with the numbers. And so, again, great for new players when you want to reduce the number of text and abilities they're dealing with. But I do like my number 1 a little bit better, and if you've been keeping track, then you know that my number 1 is the Corrupted Police. And Corrupted Police here, my number 1, very simple. When they join a non-ranged fight before dice are rolled, if the current hero is alone, they take a wound. Well, the reason I love this one is because if you're bringing them into a fight, you get to choose when you put a dead one into a fight. You know if the character is alone when you deploy them. And so this basically, if you do it at the right time, and you can see when it's the right time, guarantees you an extra wound on that character. And I just love the brutality of that. I think it's fantastic. I love being able to deploy a dead policeman, and boom, you take a wound. Plus, whatever I might be able to deal to you in the fight itself. I think it's both straightforward, but it comes with a wallop. It packs a punch, and I think that's why it's my favorite. If you watch my video talking about the ranking of the sins, you'll also see in that, no spoilers, but that my number one is also one of the sins that basically just packs brutality. It's about strength, you know. And I think the corrupted police here fold into that very well. So that's my number one. So there you go. That is my ranking of the corrupted characters in the others. If you have not seen my ranking of the sins, go check that out as well. Hope you enjoyed that. And if you have not checked the video for the review, again, go check out our video for that, talking about the others. But that's it for me on this one. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you next time.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.